What's good, everyone, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today we're reacting to people who got served literally what they requested. Now, I can understand this title by just hearing the title. It's literally getting what you said. And it came out in a way you would never expect. And I think we all can agree to that. Is usually not the best. Because sometimes if we literally got what we requested, it's going to be kind of crazy. That's like joking around, like asking for half a dozen. And instead of getting like, I don't know, 5 of something, you get like 30 or 40 of something. And that's just going to hit harder than you would think. Ugh. Mentally preparing myself now. I'm still kind of traumatized from that one dumb thing that person did just to off themselves off this world. They were still so dumb. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button down below. Hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided, and so on and so forth. Hit the notification button to be notified immediately when your video comes out. If you have any videos you would like to recommend that I should react to, put it down in the comment section below, and I'll react to them as soon as possible. And finally, the link to this video will be down in the description below. So if you want to see this video before I react to it, go ahead and do that now. You know what you're going to see, and you're going to see what I can react to. But if you want to just stick around and see my blind reaction to this, and I do mean blind, I have not seen this video at all. These videos I react to, I have never seen at all. I am doing this blind reaction. So, yeah. Be sure to give the creator some love and support for the video they made, and let's start this video.
They say you should be careful what you wish for because you might just get it. Well, today's video is all about people whose requests were granted but resulted in some surprising and regrettable consequences.
Frick?
From high-piled pepperoni pizzas and cheesy beasts to times people followed instructions precisely in the most facepalm-worthy ways. Join me as we witness people getting served. I don't know how I feel about those
things I just saw. I really don't know what to say.
We all love pizza. In fact, according to a 2019 survey, it's the world's most popular dish. And for good reason.
Can't deny that.
However, great pizza is the sum of its parts. And
True.
One's choice of topping can be make or break. And for anyone who suffers from eleophobia, the fear of olives, you might want to look away. When a customer requested, in their own words, a very generous amount of olives, one cook decided to put his olives where his mouth was and served up this. Unbelievably, the customer was said to be very pleased. But if you ask me, this olive overload is truly a nightmare.
A generous amount is like a
only
few.
Continues. Another olive fiend stopped by a pizza truck and was asked whether he wanted, quote, a little olives or a lot of olives, to which he evidently chose the latter, judging by this photo. God forbid that was actually the smaller serving, meaning the larger one might have looked something like this. Of all the pizza toppings, pepperoni certainly reigns supreme. And don't take it from me, ask the 64% of Americans who prefer its sumptuous, smoky flavor to any other topping. But as the saying goes, too much of a good thing can become bad. That sentiment was seemingly lost on one guy who didn't just request extra pepperoni, as he so eloquently put it, an ungodly amount of pepperoni. And, well, that's certainly what he
What
got
the
when he received
frick?
this cholesterol-popping pizza. Looks pretty ungodly to me. On that
Oh,
note,
that
if
looks like
you
it can give you
are
a
in the
heart
market for
attack.
something to clog your arteries, then Grant's Pizza House in Michigan has you covered. Behold the Dragon Scale
What
Pizza.
the
This beast is so tightly packed with pepperoni that they have to be neatly stacked into a scaly pattern, which you can imagine is
That's just as bad. That looks like it can give you a heart attack. It looks like if you try to consume all of the pizza, you die before you even finish it. That's just gonna kill ya.
quite the grease
What
feast.
the heck?
Interestingly, according to one Redditor, this fierce menu item was the result of many customers regularly requesting as much pepperoni as possible. Well, they asked, and Grant's Pizza House certainly listened. Better yet, popular pizza chain Little Caesars have even got in on the salami surge with what they
Um,
call the old world Fanceroni pepperoni pizza, featuring at least
okay,
100
never mind.
pepperonis toppled on top of one another. They'd be wise to sell this pizza with
Nope, that's the heart attack pizza. That's the pizza that's gonna give everyone a heart attack if trying to consume it. You'd be like, what? Eating like 20, maybe 25 pieces of pepperoni from one single slice. Oh my gosh, man.
a side of health insurance and a waiver, if you ask me. Reckon you could defeat any of those pizzas?
No.
Hey, let me know down below.
Not even gonna
Well, it's
try.
hard to believe not everyone wants their pizza topped with a meat sweat-inducing heap of pepperonis. This next guy
It looks like a heart
simply
attack.
wanted a half pepperoni, half cheese pizza. However, what he
Okay,
actually
that's not
asked for was
wrong.
a pepperoni pizza that's half cheese, which admittedly is quite an ambiguous way to put it. The result was, much to his surprise, literally what he asked for: a pepperoni pizza with cheese only on one half. If you listen carefully, you'll hear the cries of cheese fiends far and wide. After all, a 2017
Okay, someone has to be dumb right there.
study found
Come
that the
on,
average
you gotta be
American
dumb if you think it
consumes
means that.
37 pounds of cheese a year. That's roughly the weight of around 12 chihuahuas. In fact, one cheesy fella had such a hankering for the stuff that he
Is that
requested
light?
6 times the usual amount of cheese on his burger. The result, however, was much less a
Oh
cheese dream
no,
than it was a gross mound
no.
of slop that melted in the heat of its container. A word of advice: if the cheese doesn't fit on the burger, then I think it's a sign that you may have gone a little overboard.
Yeah,
That said, it seems there's a market for these hot, cheesy messes, and they call them volcano burgers. The idea being that you
that
simply
looks
drench the
unhealthy as
entire
frick.
thing in melted cheese. And why stop there? You might as well go ahead and lather yourself in it while you're at it. Of all the
Please
cheesy
don't.
messes out there, though, history was truly made back in 2012 when a Japanese news outlet,
No,
Sora News 24, ordered what
no.
might be considered
Do
one of the
not
cheesiest
say that it's
burgers
even
ever.
worse. Do
This
not make it like
gluttonous
this
challenge saw one
disgusting
of their
bit.
employees order a Burger King burger with 1,000 slices of cheese.
Mother
Yep,
fricker.
you heard that right. 1,000 slices. And the result was an impressive stack of cheese, sandwiched between two hilariously normal buns. The reporter ultimately failed in slaying this cheesy beast, presumably realizing that eating this much cheese before bed would give you nightmares for life. But nevertheless, the Burger King staff absolutely lived up to the task. It kind of makes me feel better about my personal cheese consumption. Understandably, not everyone is keen on having their burger loaded with stomach-curdling amount of cheese. So much
That's
so, this next person
just gonna
requested their
hurt you
cheese come on
when
the
you need to
side.
go.
An instruction which seemingly sent one chef's circuit board spinning as he plated
What?
up this. Yep. I mean, that's pretty much what he asked for, just a little more literal than I think anyone was expecting. Oftentimes, condiments can
Excuse
make
me?
all the difference for food. God
That was
knows,
a
I just
weird
couldn't
way to put
enjoy
the
a
cheese,
banana
but
the same
okay.
way without ketchup. Now, that said, sometimes less is more. A lesson this next Redditor learned the hard way. And while I'd like to tell you that he innocently requested just a little extra garlic sauce, the truth was he brazenly demanded, quote, as much garlic sauce as humanly possible. And, well, for better or
Oh
worse,
no.
that's just what he got. A tray of food grossly drowned in garlic sauce. Retrospectively, the guy regretted his hubris, most likely because he never expected this hyperbolic, garlicky demand to be met. And I'm sure anyone within smelling distance of his ensuing garlic breath were likewise struck with a particularly pungent sense of regret. However, it seems ordering extra sauce can be a bit of a risk in general, as one guy found out when he asked for extra mayo at McDonald's. What he anticipated to be a slightly more generous serving turned out to be a supremely sloppy burger oozing with mayonnaise. And contrary to the McDonald's slogan,
gross.
he was not
that's really gross.
loving it. Another customer who certainly wasn't loving it either was YouTuber Ted Nivison. He ordered extra Big Mac sauce for his burger. Foolish to assume that it would come actually on his burger, Ted was bemused to find his extra sauce had come in a separate box. Less than ideal. If you have to put the Mickey D's burger together yourself, you'd at least want to be paid an hourly rate, right? Now, there are two types of McDonald's customers in the world. Those who want nothing to do with pickles, and those who want, well, something like this. Well, this next guy was the first type and explained to the cashier how he only wanted ketchup on his cheeseburger, by which he meant no pickles, onions, or mustard. Evidently not having fully comprehended what exactly that meant, the staff whipped up what might only be described as a ketchup sandwich. I guess he could have been a bit more specific, but given that he said he only wanted ketchup, the fact they still included a bun makes the whole miscommunication a bit of a head-scratcher. Though of all the miscondimentations, this next one is arguably the grossest. After visiting a Subway drive-thru, just moments before it closed,
it's my favorite sandwich place.
One person, seeking a little extra mayo, was hastily served this monstrosity. It almost looks like they just gave them all the mayo that they were about to throw out. Although, admittedly, with all that free extra mayo, the value for money is undeniably second to none. Now, speaking of wanting to get your money's worth, picture this. You grab a coffee to go from your favorite caffeination station. But as you pick up your cup, it feels a little light. You pop the hood and find that your grande is looking more like a tall. First world problems, am I right? Well, one guy was so tired of this happening that he specifically asked for his coffee to be filled up to the top with no room. Clearly, this request wasn't well received by some presumably disgruntled barista who presented him with a coffee that was so full it was physically impossible for him to pick it up without spilling. That is precisely what he asked for, though, right? I guess there's just no pleasing some people. A McDonald's employee had a similarly scornful approach when they went comically over the top in fulfilling a customer's request for extra lettuce. Apparently, the entire box being stuffed with lettuce, like some kind of fragile parcel, wasn't what the customer had in mind. The question on my mind, though, is what kind of psychopath orders extra lettuce? Now, worse still, up next we have another person who clearly took no consideration for the stench of their own
sandwich
breath,
is that?
being insistent on having plenty of extra onion. So the sandwich maker willingly exceeded all expectations,
I can't have onion.
when he filled the sandwich with a bucket load of onions.
Oh no.
Sick of people invading your personal space?
And it's Subway
Just eat this
too.
sandwich,
Damn
and they'll
it.
be sure to keep a good distance. A generous serving, however, can sometimes be nice, and one guy was certainly delighted when he tucked into his takeout and found that his rice container was 100% full. So much so, the rice had even molded into the shape of the container.
Huh.
Now that's value for money. Now similarly, one woman visited a Starbucks and ever so politely asked for, quote, a ton of caramel sauce, if you'll pardon my French.
What?
Astonishingly, the barista fully understood the assignment and whipped up a caramel-flooded frappuccino. Is anyone else's mouth suddenly watering? And the generosity
kinda looks
continues.
good.
One meat lover asked for some extra beef on his sandwich, to which he was seemingly given the whole cow. Unfortunately, though,
No.
by comparison, some places can be pretty stingy. One hungry Wendy's customer was keen for some of their famous chili, but requested a little extra onion. The expectation, I could imagine, was some finely chopped onions integrated into the chili. Regrettably, though, the reality was this: a few sad and rather cumbersome onion rings bobbing along the chili. More proof that
Okay, that's kind
nothing
of
good has
insulting.
ever come of ordering extra
And that
onion.
one was actually on
Likewise,
the
one person was suitably disappointed
servers
when they
themselves.
realized they'd bought a literal chocolate chip muffin. Emphasis on the chip. Yep, the muffin contained just one sad and single chocolate chip. In many ways, I too am
That
like
is
that
dumb.
chocolate chip. Sad, single, and ready to mingle. Ladies, feel free to show me some love down in the comments and even subscribe. I promise I'll shower you with ludicrously overfilled containers of food, or at least great content. Now, keeping it sweet, these days there's cake for just about
Some of the sweets
any
look good.
occasion. Happy birthday, congratulations, sorry I ran over your cat and put sunglasses on it so you'd think it was still alive. Point is,
What?
cakes are great for all occasions, but if we've learned anything so far, it's to be very careful what you ask for. Case in point, when one UK mom was ordering a cake for her daughter's 21st birthday, a fatal typo left her with a very different cake. She intended to ask for a blonde girl to be sat on top of the cake, but some sloppy thumb work meant she actually typed out blind instead. I think you can see where this is going. Hilariously, the cake maker followed the instruction to a T and presented a cake topped with a white cane-wielding girl. Worst of all, she was a brunette. I guess the irony in all of this is that the mom could have probably done with a stronger pair of glasses herself. Check your spelling, people. Now that, of course, was a genuine misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Though this next cake catastrophe can
the
only
server
be
got it right,
attributed
so
to
that's
utter
props to them.
incompetence. One
And it was
customer
beautifully
simply wanted
made,
their
so-
cake to say, "Thanks for a great year," in the color purple. Sounds straightforward enough, right? Well,
Yeah.
not for this brainless baker who literally wrote, "Thanks for a great year," in purple. Worst of all, they wrote it in blue, and not very neatly either. Let's just hope it tasted good. And would you believe it, this has happened more
That's a
than once.
bit.
Another unsuspecting customer who was ordering 2 cupcake boxes asked the baker to write "Happy Birthday" on both. Lo and behold, this Einstein baker wrote "Happy Birthday" on both cupcake boxes. What were they thinking?
Okay,
That the
that's
birthday
dumb.
curl was
That's
called
dumb.
on both? The extent of some people's stupidity truly is concerning. Moving on, when we think of sponge cake, our mind might conjure up images of light and fluffy cake. However, when one guy's girlfriend asked him to make her a sponge cake, he thought it would be a hilarious opportunity to take her request extremely literally. That was, he whipped up a stack of chocolate-frosted kitchen sponges. Shamefully, I think I would still probably lick the chocolate off. Children
That's
are
gross.
innately creative creatures, mainly thanks to their underdeveloped frontal cortex, which leads to more rational, less divergent thinking as it grows with age. Add in
Eh.
the fact that they're constantly playing, moving, and learning about the world, and you've got the perfect recipe for creative thinking. However, with that comes pretty unique problem solving, ranging from being hilarious
Okay,
to surprisingly
what did someone
genius.
do?
This first little boy was working on some homework which asked him to rank the words in alphabetical order. The expectation, for example, was to write apple as number 1, then fox, and so on and so forth. But this little Einstein had quite the different understanding, as he rejigged each individual word into alphabetical order, essentially creating
Oh,
anagrams. Nevertheless, the homework did ask for the words to be put in alphabetical order, which you can't say he didn't do. Likewise, but to a
that's
slightly less
actually really clever.
intelligent degree, this next kid was asked to show his thinking, which was implied to mean his calculations. Amusingly, he misinterpreted this in the most literal sense, as he drew a picture of himself thinking of the answer. And not a very flattering one at that. Though you have to admire his innocence, right? And it seems children's homework is an endless source of comedy, as this next little wisecracker had the funniest approach to being asked to name some quadrilateral shapes. We can all hopefully agree that this is called a square, and this is
Okay.
a rectangle.
Yeah.
However, one little girl decided to give them more interesting, albeit less, mathematical names, such as Bob and Kate. My favorite part is that Teddyson and Harry, both rectangles, are apparently different enough to deserve individual names.
Huh.
Bob, Kate, and the rest of the gang might not be the most intelligible answer, but this next kid was so clever that
That's
he even outsmarted the teacher. This student was
what
asked to
did they
imagine
do?
that he were a Chinese immigrant in the year 1870 and to describe his experience. Evidently being fluent in Mandarin, he decided to pull out this secret weapon and write it well and truly from the perspective of a Chinese immigrant in traditional Chinese lettering. Wu hen pei fu. Now, homework aside, studies suggest
That's
that
actually really smart, really cool of them. That's really, really clever. I mean, the teacher asked for it. He got it. He basically got it down to they literally got it down to a literal T. So no one can blame them for it.
having a pet is great
Nice.
for children. Not only does it teach them
Smart
about
kids.
empathy
Smart
and
kids.
companionship, but responsibility too. However,
True about the
let
pet thing,
this
though.
be a warning that they shouldn't be given too much responsibility, as one mom found
Okay,
out when she asked her
fair.
toddler to feed the cat. Rather than a serving of good old cat kibble, this taught trade up something a little more refreshing and richer in vitamin C, an orange. And as you can see by the cat's face, he isn't too happy about his new diet. But I guess this is what happens when you get a toddler to do your chores for you. If you need more proof that giving toddlers tasks
Okay.
to do is never a good idea, then check this next one out. One mom was trying to teach her 3-year-old son that used tissue goes down the toilet. What she actually said, though, was, when you use the tissue, throw it in the toilet. To which this 3-year-old evil genius misinterpreted to mean the whole roll. I mean, if you're concerned about splashback, then that ought to do it. As we've seen, being a parent can be challenging, and oftentimes getting children to eat their food can be pretty difficult. I mean, somehow my mom still manages to trick me with the whole airplane thing. Point is, kids and food can be difficult. Case in point, when one mom was compromising with her son to eat half a banana, she didn't expect him to take this bizarre approach. I mean, I don't want to say your kid is a psychopath, but similarly, another kid had pretty
he
much the
ate half
same
a banana.
idea when asked to eat half
Just
their grapes.
not in the
Quite
way
honestly,
you're supposed
this
to.
one just feels like more of an assertion of dominance. That said, this next one has to be the most screwed up. One
What
mom told
the
her 5-year-old
frick?
son that he could watch TV so long as he ate half of his hot dog. Upholding his end of the bargain, He ate half the hot dog, but in quite possibly the most unnerving way I've ever seen. It almost feels the same as burning an American flag. We all make impulsive purchases from time to time.
We're okay, right? We're all okay, right? Because that was interestingly unique. I'm concerned because no one would eat a hot dog that way.
And subsequently regret them. They call it buyer's remorse. However, coming up are some people who had buyer's remorse after receiving the most painfully literal versions of their purchases. For example, take this first guy who was planning to impress his wife with a color-changing mug from Amazon. Right, because that's what a lady wants. However, what he expected to be a nighttime to daytime Christmas scene turned out to be exactly as it was advertised, as in the mug literally had a print of the advertisement on it. But I suppose that's what you get for buying your wife a mug for Christmas. In a similar circumstance, one mom was intending to buy her son this cute dinosaur-shaped pillow. Little did she know that it would just be an ordinary pillowcase with a print of the Amazon listing on it, child included. Speaking of putting the children to bed, if you cast your mind
creepy. Why would you put a random child?
You'll recall this classic piece of not safe for children housewife literature, 50 Shades of Grey, was sweeping the world. Well, when one woman wanted to get her hands on the X-rated read, she turned to eBay. Though I personally wouldn't recommend buying a second-hand copy of this particular book. Either way, to her surprise, what she received wasn't the erotic escapades of Mr. Christian Grey, but literally 50 Shades of Grey. A real page-turner, huh? But I guess that's what you get for attempting to read that kind of smut. Shame on you. On the topic of regrettable purchases, it's said that at least 1 in 5 Americans have left the hair salon regretting their new do. And we've all been there, trying to hold back the tears and force a smile as you assure the hairdresser that you love it, while bargain basement Kim Jong-un stares back at you in the mirror. Well, one guy had the mother of all terrible haircuts when he showed his barber a reference picture. A reference picture which they took very literally when he replicated it exactly, head and all. Now, there isn't much info around this image, so I'm going to hope and pray that it was a consensual joke and not a serious attempt. Either way, there's no denying the barber's skill. While in the previous few cases, the customer fell victim to deception and wild misunderstandings, that isn't to say that the customer is always right.
What?
Case in point, one online shopper ordered a pretty large item to which they oddly requested the delivery driver leave under the doormat. I'm not quite sure what they were attempting to achieve, but the driver did exactly as they asked, resulting in this futile, albeit amusing image.
Okay, they did say under the doormat. They could just say
Photoshop is a wonderful doormat. Just ask the Kardashians. It makes anything possible. Want to stand on top of the Eiffel Tower? Done. Go surfing with Oprah? You got it. But with great power comes great responsibility. And one Photoshopper, James Friedman, has been using his abilities to get up to mischief. One of his victims sent in a picture of she and her friend. Well, friend is a strong word. For what she actually wanted was for James to Photoshop the other girl to look bad and to make her look great, as they were both competing for the same boy's attention. Her fatal error, however, was that she misspelt great as G-R-A-T-E, as in grate the cheese. Obviously, James, a serial prankster, seized the opportunity and created this hilarious Photoshop. She looks pretty great, if you ask me. But hey, that's karma for
Huh?
you. I mean, whatever happened to sisters before misters? On the flip side, another two gal pals
Were
got
they
in touch
sisters?
with James to fix their extreme height difference. But since they didn't give James much instruction, besides asking him to make them the same height, he decided to take some, shall we say, creative liberties. Is this what they meant? I mean, I don't see the problem. My arms come out of my head too. Now, this next one is one of my personal favorites.
Oh,
This
because
happy
of
couple
his design
managed to snap
character.
a cute
Okay,
photo
yeah, that
together.
makes sense.
But on looking at the pic, there was just one thing bothering them: the woman in the red dress in the background. Seeking help from James, the fairy god photoshopper, they didn't technically ask him to get rid of her, but rather do something with her, which James certainly did. You can imagine how shocked they were when they found themselves snuggling up to this random
What
woman.
the
I mean,
frick?
they all look so happy together. Certainly one
That's
for the photo
creepy.
album. One which won't be making the photo album, however, is this girl's senior photo. She had taken quite a dramatic one while lying in water, yet it wasn't quite dramatic enough for her, so she asked James to make it appear as if she were more underwater. At this point, you're probably wise to James's work, so he's obviously going to put her in the sea or an aquarium or something, right? Nope.
No.
He decided to take this girl for a spin and place her in a washing machine. I mean, she's definitely looking a lot more underwater, although she might need a hanging out to dry. And that, folks, is all for today. Have you ever had any painfully literal request results like these? Let me know down in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe. Catch you in the next one.
Okay. That. Huh. That was interesting. Gotta admit, my favorite was the writing in a different language. I mean, full Chinese. Gotta admit, clever as heck. I really appreciate it. What I don't is, well, the joking way they did it. Like, the camera work in the end, that was freaky. I mean, make a complete stranger get snuggled up into your husband's photo. Not cool. The great thing was kind of funny though. This thing, it kind of looked cursed. That's honestly the cameraman taunting her. Whoever did this was a freaking perv. And does that ate literally half of the item given? I am actually really concerned. No, seriously. I am actually concerned. Because what the heck? That's not natural. And it looks kind of insulting. At least to me, it's kind of insulting. Because it honestly makes no sense why someone would do that, and definitely the thing is creepy. I mean, seriously, why that specifically? Couldn't they have just done something else? Ugh. Freaking creepy. But anyway, that's my opinion on the matter. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button down below, hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided, and so on and so forth. Hit the notification button, be notified immediately when the video comes out. Other than that, I hope you all enjoy, and I'll see you all next time. And before I forget, tell me what you think is the funniest and or the most disturbing thing from this list. Honestly, it's a tie for me between the food and the photos at the end. Ugh. Because it make it sound like the cameraman was targeting them for some reason. But yeah, with this said, hope you all enjoy, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!